Snow has returned to the Winterberg track with a vengeance. The second and deciding heat, race 4 of the IBSF BMW two-man bobsleigh World Cup. And the Hochsauerland track has been swept by heavy snow this afternoon in the first heat of this race. Looks like it's getting even heavier. Welcome back, everybody. Martin Avon and John Morgan trackside. And John, definitely a few runs affected by the snow. Beat Hefty, among others, was fuming by how hard the snow came down in some of the runs. But it is an outdoor sport, and once the weather comes in, there's not much you can do.
Yeah, it was pretty fair, in my opinion, because the people who were top of the leaderboard are the people who are expected to be there, and still never. You know, this guy last week, 15th best start, finished with the silver medal in Winterberg. I didn't think he could do it on this track. It's too short for a bad start time. 15th best start again. He's in a position to win a medal the second consecutive week. But Oscar's Kiebermanis. Wow, this is, we're talking about a guy here who won his first ever World Cup medal last week, and he's tied with Stolnev to the 100th of a second. Well, guess what? We have two Germans at the top of the leaderboard. These two young athletes here won a silver medal at the World Championships 2 years ago on this track, and they came down. They did what they did when the weather was perfect a couple years ago. They were in a silver medal position. And he was a lot closer, though, to the next guy, Francisco Friedrich, Torsten Margus. They won the World Championships. It was a lot closer than this right now in the first heat. Huge lead, 3,600 leads for Friedrich. He won last week at Altenburg. He won the opening event in Whistler. It's just another day at the office for him.
Francesco Friedrich with a big lead, but look at the gap back from Oscar Kiebermanis in third down to, 10th position. Anything could happen among that group of sleds, and Lochner definitely not yet locked into second position, but Francesco Friedrich looking for a third win in 3 starts in two-man this season. Beat Hefty would argue with you about a fair run. He's a man who's won 4 races on this track in the last 8 years. He's only 11th. I'm not sure that he would think that he got the best of the weather. And Nico Walter, don't know what was going on with his run either. Tied only for 15th with Maxim Andrianov. Neither of the Czech sleds, 2 Canadians didn't make the cut. Lamin Dean didn't make the cut, nor did Ivo de Bruyne, Jan Verber, Drazen Silic, or Dorin Grigori of Romania.
A lot of snow coming in. Look at the wind.
Wind's picked up again. Snow is blowing again. This is the 3rd night in a row there's been a snowstorm. Already digging out 2 or 3 feet of snow every morning, and some of the teams are going to struggle to leave this place, I think, by the end of the weekend. And look at the track worker closest to the camera, the huge amount of snow.
And that's in a half hour.
I'm not sure
we're going to get this in.
I'm not sure we're going to start this second heat. It will be decided, but I mean, look, you can't even see the final corner. You should be able to at least see the final corner. This is a shot down from above the finish area.
You can see about 100 meters, 150 meters down there.
Now, in the track, there's nowhere where you need to see more than 100 meters. It depends how much of this snow is actually sticking on the visors. Beat Hefty said he could barely see.
Yeah, but you keep referencing Hefty. Hefty didn't do well last week. He doesn't have a start time.
He wasn't the only one. There was a number of drivers came down when there was a really heavy snowstorm, and they were definitely complaining about visibility. But as you say, there's nobody in the top 6 or 8 or 10 who you wouldn't expect to be in the top 10, perhaps.
A little bit suspect with, you see the German way back there, Walter.
Yeah.
The 2 Korean sleds, surprised that they're in 9th and 10th, because they've been doing better than that in the first 3 events of the year. So there's a couple what-ifs, but, the guy top of the leaderboard, he's dominated the sport in the last couple of years, and that Lochner, well, he's been right up there too. Stolnev, Kiebermanis. Weather conditions?
Pretty missable. Take all that away, pretty missable. Rico Peter, I wonder what he thinks of the weather. He lies in 5th position. He's in this really tight battle all the way down the top 10 for potentially a medal.
Yeah,
and there you go. Okay, so it's kind of hurry up and wait, really. You've got to wait and see if the weather gets better. If you go, right, okay, it's not perfect now, we're cancelling it. In 10 minutes, it might be completely stopped. In 10 minutes, it might be horrendous. In 20 minutes, it might be fine. So the jury are duty-bound, really, to go...
7 minutes from now, they're saying.
And then if it's not ready, maybe we'll wait another 10 if it looks like it might be starting to blow itself out. after 20-minute delay, there's nowhere to go really with this.
Well, let's take a look at the track, what it looks like when there's no snow. Track built in the mid-70s. I was here in 79 for the second ever Veltins Cup, but the track's changed drastically, especially the redo of the start area. As you go down this first curve, watch this little curve down here. This isn't curve 1. This was put in about 8-9 years ago when they redid the whole start area, so that's curve 0, and this is the old track. I mean, this hasn't changed much, pretty much the same. Really slow up top of the track, and you really have to, not fall asleep up here. There's no challenge, a little uphill right here. And then this curve 4, this is causing a lot of problems. People come out hitting the wall on the right, pushes you over here in 5, and you exit out of 5 late. Then you don't like what you come into 6 and tap before you get into the Kreisel. We've seen a lot of errors like that from a lot of top pilots, and this big whip around launches you down the bottom part of the track where you start to reach 70-mile-an-hour speeds. Curve 9, this curve 9's played havoc with teams for 35 years on this track. And 10, big sweeping left, 11, three-corner combination. The labyrinth, every track's got to have one, and it gets dicey down here when it's fast. It's not fast now. Finish, you're going uphill as you exit, and you can lose time there. You saw the timing guys go by with the red marks, and the guy who leads the race owns the track record at the bottom. He owns the track record at the start, and he's got a big, huge lead. It's his race to lose.
And look what the visibility was like when that was shot in good conditions. This is that tower at the finish area. Down there in the grey jacket and the black hat, Ivo Ferriani, president of the IBSF. Start delayed with heavy snow, and gusting wind definitely isn't helping, because even the covered sections of the track are starting to fill up now. See the snow plow, top right-hand corner. They've been plowing non-stop on the access roads up and down here to try and get the sleds up and down. It's not done by cable car or anything else. They go up on the back of a trailer behind a big John Deere, and the John Deere's got the snow plow on the front. They've got chains on. I mean, we're starting to get to the situation where maybe in some of the spectator car parks are going to be in trouble of getting people out. The jury on the top of the track with an invidious job. You're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. If you call it off and there's no snow as people are driving back to hotels, that was a rubbish decision. If you keep them waiting for half an hour before you call it off, well, it was never going to clear up. So the jury, you've got to try and do the best by everybody. You've got to try and get a race in if you can. But if you're going to have a World Cup result, which will have, points consequences for World Championship and so on, then you've got to try and make it work. Here are our jury members down at the bottom. Erika Fischbach, there's Ivo Ferriani, Yanis Gatis Guts there on the left-hand side. And they'll be looking after procedures down at the bottom. All the runners uncovered up in the air so they don't get damaged, but uncovered so that they don't get too warm.
Yeah, this snow is coming down. It's not a wet snow. I mean, where it really sticks to your visor. I don't think it's a visibility thing, Martin, but I think it's...
There's the first corner.
Yeah, now we can see it. There's a good change. You're right, good point. So we can now see the first, it blows in, blows out. I mean, we were told earlier in the week when we arrived here that they're expecting a Russian storm. Well, we've seen a lot of Russian storms in a number of ways for the last couple of weeks, but this has been a good storm here the last 48 hours. Great competition in women's bobsled. Great competition we've already had in men's skeleton. First heat here, you have some questions about it. I think it was pretty good. No real change. There was a couple suspect start times we saw in the last 10 sleds.
So you look at it down at the bottom where it's covered, it looks quite still. Here at the top, this is a real wind tunnel. That ramp on the right-hand side that you saw, the driver's left, that's the luge start tower there, and that'll just funnels the air straight up at the athletes. I mean, up here, it's a real wind tunnel. You really feel it on the top of the hillside. You really notice it. Not maybe as much as Altenburg, but it's
there's a
gusty.
roof here. If they show this is a roof up there covering the start area. That wasn't there up until about 8 years ago. I think 9 years ago, 8 years ago. See that? Look at the right side all the way in to see that the room on the right down below the lights, that's where the changing room is for all the athletes. Then they go up. Stairs are steep.
Big luge tower.
And then, they got a lot of track workers.
A lot of track workers, a lot of track and a lot of snow. I think at the moment the snow is winning the battle, but the track workers are fighting back. And it's a long day for these guys. You know, they're here. We didn't start till lunchtime, but they're here from 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. I mean, especially in this weather, ploughing all the access roads to allow people to get in, teams to get in. And then at the end of a long day, it starts snowing like Billy-O.
Yesterday morning, when we got up for breakfast in our hotel, we're in a condo apartment type thing, we had to walk into the breakfast area. It was like a Siberian winter. I mean, it was ridiculous. The snow, we thought, no way we're going to have an event. And we had a great women's bobsled race. So, but now I think back on the skeleton race, the Korean, who's the World Cup leader, he had a 10 slower start second run. And I talked to him down at the finish, and he said, I don't know what happened. And your point was that he had, you know, he was the only guy started off that left sport. And that snow might have affected him because he shouldn't have been 10 back, and that cost him a medal and a World Cup lead.
I don't think we've ever seen him with two starts so
far
different.
apart. No. He's exact.
He is very consistent. Well, you can see how much shoveling is going on.
But we can see the track now. It's not a whiteout. So
no, it is definitely...
We could have some action.
That 10-minute wait was a good decision. We might wait another 5 minutes before we send another spur sled down. And they have the option to do that. Traditionally, there'll be 3 sleds that go down to check the timing eyes, check the track is safe, visibility is good, weather conditions are drivable. And they will then go back up to the top. There is always an option to send another one down, another pilot sled, just to make sure that the conditions are good. But I mean, from this shot, we couldn't have seen any of the bottom corner, any of those. That rescue building down the bottom, we wouldn't have seen that.
I'm going to take a peek outside here.
Hey, you can probably even see the Bratwurst stand if you look carefully, and that's one of the great traditions of this track. The coach's favourite waffle stand inside corner 5. The gentleman who ran that retired at the end of last season, it seems, as a new owner, and the chap that ran it for easily 15 years, as long as pretty much anyone can remember it's been there. Great waffles, he was a big part of that, and the stand down the bottom, the Bratwurst stand, is definitely a big fixture in our season. And everybody's in a hurry up and wait.
Yeah, this is looking good. I went outside our booth, and I could see to the top of the track, which we could not see to the top of the track when we entered the booth.
And a couple of times this weekend, couldn't see a hand in front of your face, almost literally. It's been so windy and snowy. But that definitely has all the hallmarks of we should be getting going.
Now they're taking 7:30, another half hour here before our...
Well, and that's not just because they're waiting to see if the weather continues to improve, but actually it's to allow the track workers to find the track underneath the snowdrifts. So German sleds, like everybody else, is waiting to go. And they would rather wait 30 minutes to try and get this second heat in than call it after the first heat, which is the default option if it starts to get really nasty again. Or if they hadn't started, then the option would be to maybe run another race in St. Moritz or in Eagles or in Koningsee or somewhere. But they're pulling the shades down, not to stop the ice melting because of the sun, but to try and stop too much of the snow blowing in. So there's all sorts of options, as well as a roof, to try and protect the track, but there is still a lot of snow to be shoveled. And that gives us another, what, 15, 16, 17 minutes now to try and clear the track, and they'll try and get as much out, not just on the straights. You can see all on the right-hand side there of our picture, needs a lot of clearing up. Pete Gunn there with the red hood inside his Great Britain top. Back coaching the boys this weekend. He'll come to St. Moritz and then go on after that to Koningsee and Bavaria. Lee Johnson is in St. Moritz. Some entertaining results coming out of St. Moritz. European Cup action this weekend. There was also North America's Cup action this weekend in Park City Lane. So the IBSF busy weekend. We've got World Cup. We've got the other 2 bobsled and skeleton tours going as well. Intercontinental Cup, I don't know if they're racing somewhere as well this weekend. There's rather too much to keep up with on Wheelie Wi-Fi. Clearing out the grooves there, those are the start grooves. Now, with the bobsled, John, your runners go in either of those, or in both of those grooves. With the skeleton sled, it's not as wide as a bobsled. You can only have a runner in one or the other. So if they've haven't been used and haven't been swept religiously, then you might find one starting to fill up with snow down towards the end of the grooves.
I got to believe they'll send a pilot sled, a test sled down, not only to test those runner grooves, but to also to make sure the timing eyes haven't been affected. But it's really cleared up here. I mean, look at the difference.
Belgian girls on the left, they were racing yesterday and out celebrating Alpha Willemsen's birthday yesterday evening. So first led 9:34, which means start procedure will start at 9:15. How much money did Lee Johnson just lose on how long this... He won't look. Lee Johnson's prediction abilities are pretty impressive. But they're having a bit of a sweepstake on how long the snow delay will be.
He's got too much time in his hands up there. St. Moritz.
Yeah, Chris Woolley there, the physical conditioning coach and the start coach for the athletes here, as well as the chief cook, bottle washer. He really is the portmanteau member of the British team.
There's a lot of snow to get out of this track still.
You know why they're all watching in St. Moritz? It's because they start so damn early. Yeah, we haven't been getting to the track here until 10 o'clock in the morning, starting races until lunchtime. There's Beat Hefty in there somewhere. But in St. Moritz, it's the other hour, the other end of the day.
Dominic Scher on the left. Coach of the British, former Swiss pilot himself. I think he had a little involvement with the Swiss program. And it's nice to see some of the bios of Hefty's new team coming in, the guy he's racing with. As I look down the list, Mikael Koenen, he listed his personal coach, Christoph Langen.
All right.
What's that tell you?
I'm not sure what Koenen's background is, but it definitely sounds Finnish. Koenen, not the most Swedish name I've ever heard. Well, there's some dedicated fans for you. But one of the great things about coming on tour with bobsleigh is that you come to small towns predominantly. Altenburg's a small town, Winterberg's a fairly small town, Berchtesgaden, not the smallest town, but the track's a big part of its history. And when we go, the people notice. It's like going to Martinsville Speedway if you're a NASCAR team. It's a big, big event in a small local community, and that's what we find with bobsleigh. People come out in this appalling weather when, frankly, Saturday night they should be sat in front of the sofa eating their tea with their feet up with a fire on, but they're coming out in appalling weather to watch this because they love the sport. It's been here since they've been growing up, and that's one of the great things about this sport, is it engenders such fierce devotion among the fans as well as the athletes. And boy, you have to be devoted to be an athlete in sliding sports, because you ain't doing it for the money or the glamour.
Well, the workers, there's plenty of them in the blue jackets. There's such the Winterberg Bobsled Club here. You just saw Rennie Spies walking by. He's coach of the German team. He's from Winterberg.
Yep. I just had a little presentation ceremony, actually. I wonder if we've got some pictures of that we can show the folks at home. To Anja Schneider-Heinze, who's here this weekend. She's working with ARD on the commentary team. She's due to have her first baby in a couple of months. And there's some of the kids in the Winterberg Bob Club that are helping present the trophies. They're learning their sport here from the junior starts.
Yeah, they've got a lot of athletes in the field. They got, there's a tremendous pride here between Saxony, which is down in the Dresden area where we were last week in Altenburg. Then you got that Bavarian down there, the Bavarians. And then, of course, you got up here in the Sauerland region, and there's a lot of pride. Yeah. It's states, it's region, it's, there's, like Spies, there's a couple athletes that are from this region, and most of them have a Veltins tag on them.
Actually, somebody was asking me yesterday evening, talking about Rennie Spies, where's Franz Sagmeister? We haven't seen him back at a track in a long while. Das Beast.
They get together. No, Rennie told me they all get together. And
summertime, I imagine, somewhere warm with a few beers. Yeah, there you go.
Together. And,
hey, come and meet up. It's going to be -5 in an Arctic storm. Do you know what? Let's do it July. Yeah. But they made a big presentation last year to Sandra Kyriasis after she'd retired. She came back here because this was her adopted track for a long time, and they made a big farewell presentation to her, which brought a tear to a lot of eyes, not least hers. And this evening, just between the heats, they were doing exactly the same for Anja Schneider-Heinze. And Schneidi was again a big popular figure here. There she is in the center in the grey hat. Annika Dratzek and all the other German girls, and René Spies and the other coaches there as well. Thomas Schwab, second left there, the head of the German Federation. And Schneidi.
She's in our hotel. It's great.
So charming.
Saw her and Dratzek together at breakfast this morning. The world champions from last year. Annika Dratzek last night powered Jamaika, this young German pilot, into a second place in the World Cup and first in the European Championships. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And, you can understand now why they won the World Championships last year in Innsbruck. And what a way for her to go out. And now we see her 7 months pregnant, and she's working with ARD, which is great. Now, of course, everybody forgets, she was the Olympic gold medalist with Sandra Kyriasis in 2006 in Torino.
Absolutely.
And then she went into the driver's mode, and it took her about 5 years. It wasn't until after 2010 when Erdmann retired, and there was a couple other retirements.
Well, Erdmann was gone after 06, wasn't she? But Kyriasis had gone. And Schneidi, she learned her craft on the lower tours, just like Bert Hefty did, and everybody else did.
And she was older, and she took her a while. And then she had to deal with Kyriasis and Martini up into the 2000.
There you go,
That's a formidable pair. But she finally broke through, got out on tour, didn't get the Olympic medal, but then what a way to go out, win the World Championships, go start a family.
Well, do you know what? As she crossed the line to take that World Championship gold medal, I thought that's the last time we'll see a driver sled, and in the end, it took her all summer to make the decision. But actually, now that she's
pregnant,
7 months pregnant, maybe it wasn't all summer. No, maybe it was late summer when she found out. Okay,
June, I think it might have been.
I can't compete this year, which means I won't be able to come back next year. There's Nico Walter.
Boy, how does he feeling? He's way back in 15th place. And
file him under F for frustrated.
He's frustrated. He's hanging in there, and he's driving the Germans, for the first time ever, are not driving FES Berlin sleds. They're driving Wallner sleds. They're driving brand new Wallner sleds, which Friedrich has got. Lochner's got the older Wallner sleds. He's got the FES sleds. He has not had good performance. And that's Eric. He's a four-man brakeman for
Eric Franke.
And, talking to him, there's a lot of frustration, but they say Nico Walter is a positive guy. And, and it's very easy to say to him, if it was a year from now, you should be worried.
Yeah.
But right now, they're testing.
A year from now, they better have their ducks in a row. At the moment, they're just throwing ducks up in the air.
There's, the guy who's won how many races on this track in the last 5 years?
4 and 8 years.
4 and 8 years. Not like the skeletal race we just saw with the guy. That guy Dukars.
Well, now 9
straight years he's won.
Also, incidentally, Martins Dukars' 8th European Championship.
What a career.
Yeah.
Well, I interviewed him after the race.
I couldn't find that when we needed it, but yeah, Esprit de Scalia, I found it now for the wrong race.
This is looking good.
Harry Johnson says, can we give him a shout out? He's watching and learning as he wants to go to Lausanne for the 3rd Youth Olympic Games in 2020. So we're breeding a second generation of bobsled drivers in the Johnson household. Father Lee is watching with the Europa Cup teams in St. Moritz. An awful lot of athletes in St. Moritz this week, including some who might otherwise have been here at the World Cup, like Oscars Melbardis. So I have no idea just how big the field. We can probably add another 5-6 teams to our fields next year, next weekend.
Yeah. So people still braving things out there. A lot of them probably retreated to the Kluvine stand, but don't blame them.
I'm amazed we've lasted that long. We should be down there at the Kluvine stand as well. That's where journalists hang out.
Well, the Kluvine stand, which is closer to the broadcast booths at the finish, we're up here in the commentary box and near the TV truck.
They moved us further away. Now they've cleared the snow, and this is spraying on the blue line. Yeah, that's to get your sled out of the way.
He's been down there.
Now let's see. Did he spray it on the BMW sign again? No, he was told.
He's been doing this down there for 25 years. That's the Winterberg Bobsled Club. It's just been great. What a
Rolf. Okay. Props to Rolf.
Rolf. Thanks for that.
And there's so many familiar faces.
Look at Nico Wolf. Look how positive this guy is. I mean, everybody else would be throwing snowballs and frustration and throwing helmets.
Yeah, down the bottom, kicking chairs around.
And he's just, give him some credit. He's hanging in there. This looks like Kazanov.
Yeah, it is Alexander Kazanov.
I made the mistake in the highlights. you know, maybe they want to show those highlights again. I said it was Kazanov. It was Stulnev.
Yeah, no, you got the name right.
Did I say Stulnev?
Yeah, Stulnev.
Okay, okay. But I said he referenced to winning a medal last week, and he did not. Stulnev didn't win the medal. But we're getting close here.
Yep.
Race fans,
Well,
little rain delay in NASCAR. You know, everybody goes and gets under the bleachers and has a beer, and then they wait a little bit. 4-hour rain delay.
Yeah, there's a
or
few.
the Daytona 500. Oh, this isn't nice. Right there is not a nice. There's a.
No. That's up to 4, isn't it? Is that uphill to 4?
Yeah.
Looks like it. Oh no, there should be a road on the left-hand side if it's uphill to 4. That's definitely not uphill to 4 then. But, you know, the track workers, God bless them, and at every track, you know, even in the best of conditions, they're out there all hours of the day and night, shaving the ice, spraying the ice, making sure the running surface is as perfect as possible. This is down at corner 3. And they're clearing the snow away as well. When the weather turns, then they go on to a non-existent overtime, don't they? There's no overtime for them. It's just get on with it, get it done.
And you know, that sweeping exercise is like the same way they shave the ice. Let me tell you something. You work on these tracks, you get some arms by the time you're done the end of the year.
They need a few knots working out of their shoulders by the end of this week. Well, the sleds are ready, the drivers are ready, the TV crew. Again, boys, thank you very much. There is never a day when I wish I was a cameraman instead of an announcer.
It's not a career change you want to make at your age.
No. There are reasons they're cameramen and there are reasons I'm an announcer. I can't hold a camera, and I'm quite happy to be in the warm and the dry. Thank you very much. Well, Mrs. Johnson is wrong. George will not be the 3rd generation of bobsledder. Well, Harry would not be the 3rd generation because George did the Youth Olympic Games in Lillehammer, George Johnson. It's the 2nd generation.
Look,
it's just a brother. He'll be the 3rd Johnson, but not the 3rd generation. Yeah, we can see that. There's the little arch as you enter the town. Big ski lift area just there at the top of the hill. Starting to clear up a bit. Twinkle, twinkle, little star almost.
Well, it's still a little sideways action. You know, this is great perspective of the track. You can see the bends. You know, the TV just does not do it justice. You know, that's
5 into 6. Big downhill drop from the top of turn 5 where you enter. You drop about 4 or 5 stories. There's the center of the town. All the lights aglow.
It's a nice little winter resort when it's got snow.
Everybody jammed trying to get out of the ski lift car parks as they were jammed this morning trying to get in.
Boy, the traffic. The traffic. There's a lot of orange plates, Mark.
There are.
A lot of orange plates in this town, the Dutch Alps. And boy, the ski hills are great. This is as nice snow pack that I've seen in Winterberg for a decade. I mean, this has been a wonderful winter season for him. And our guy Danny down at the Irish pub, who's been taking care of us all week, he says it was so busy up here. It's been so busy up here, Christmas to New Year's, that they've had a great season so far.
Taking on lots of new staff as well. Yeah, Dutch Alps, I think we talked about this yesterday, renaming this the Belgian Highlands because there's an awful lot of Dutch fans came here for bobsledding, awful lot of Belgians now coming for bobsledding.
This is the changing room down below. There's Holcomb pondering things. Steve, what do you think?
Snow race, Winterberg, what do you reckon? There's Jesse Lumsden, soon to be a daddy.
Cody Basque just walked by there. Just got a note from Holcomb's agent, Brant Feldman, out there. He's watching in Los Angeles online. Brant, hello.
Yeah, what was his summation of the weather?
Yeah.
What was his summary of the weather?
Well, weather and then Augie's talking about a finish results. And, you know, we responded in a couple one-word lines. But we're hearing now that they're going to send a couple pilot sleds. Yeah. You know, get the grooves back in order. Timing, make sure the timing is working. You know, remember, these guys have been out sweeping. Very easily somebody could have knocked into one of the timing eyes. And, you know, there's all sorts of things that they want to check here.
And traditionally, these will be young guys from the local bobsleigh club. Occasionally, and we saw this at World Championship last year, Justin Olsen was forerunning in the 2-man. There's Simone Bertazzo.
He'll be the first man down the hill.
Yeah, trying to keep the warmth in the muscles. And he is getting ready with his brakeman. They're doing a few drills to get themselves synced up for the start. We'll be doing that as well shortly. So the first or the next pilot sled will go down and just check that all the timing is working, because what you don't want is to send an athlete down and then go, ah, okay, the timing didn't work. Do you want to go back up and try again? No, not really. So it'll be another two-man bob, local drivers, so they'll have knowledge. We'll get a chance to take a look. We are going for a start at 34, so we will have ignition sequence, T-5 already. And there you can see the Italian sled is being lined up and ready to go. In the yellow jackets, that is the team that are going to go down in the pilot sled. So we'll take a look at what happened in the first heat. And this track is very familiar to produce close races.
Alexei Stolnev, he's, you know, top 10 all 3 heats or 3 World Cups, and he surprised everybody here. Didn't have great start times, and he gets to the bottom. 16th best start. He's in a tied for 3rd with Oskars Kiebermanis. Kiebermanis, the young former decathlete from Latvia, he rocketed to his first ever bronze medal last weekend in Altenburg, and he's the big hope for Latvia here. And they're chasing 2 German sleds down, and this Lochner and Bloom, well, these 2 youngsters won the silver medal at the World Championships 2 years ago, and they won the gold medal in 4-man last week at Altenburg, his first ever gold medal in either one of the disciplines, and he came down. He's in 2nd place, but they're all chasing the same guy they've been chasing for 3 or 4 years, Francisco Friedrich, Thorsten Marcus. Best time at the top of the track, start record in the past, and they have the start or the finish record at the bottom. Those records won't be challenged tonight, but
Nope.
But they've got a 36/100ths lead. It's Friedrich's race to lose. He's won in Lake Placid, or excuse me, he won in Whistler. He won last week. And, you know, he was doing this last year. He won a lot of races and then got hurt, missed a race or something, remember?
Yep.
And then, but, you know, you want to peak at the World Championships. He keeps going at the pace he's going at. Wow, we've got a guy that could set all the records before his career is over.
Well, he's looking for a double triple here. 3 for 3, his 3rd race. He's looking for his 3rd win this season. 3 for 3 here as well in Winterberg. Won the Worlds in 2015, won the World Cup race here last year, 2016. Again, with Thorsten Margis on the sled, who's back with him this weekend. Now, don't forget, last weekend, Thorsten Margis didn't win with Francesco Friedrich. Had Martin Grottkop on the back of the sled, so it's Grottkop's first World Cup win of the season. Air temperature still -2, hasn't dropped much. I tell you what, I bet it feels like about -12 with the wind behind it. You can hear the rumble of the sled down at the bottom there. There's our pilot sled through the seal curve, and he'll be up to the finish, and he will report, yep, it's nice and clear. And the camera's now showing that. So again, the jury making a good call. Let's wait and see what happens, whether they had a good weather forecast or whether they were just fingers crossed, can't tell you. But actually, you wouldn't know it snowed looking at the top of the track for a while. Here's our start draw then. 20 sleds go in the second and deciding heat. Simone Bertazzo of Italy will be first off. Cody Bascu, Bruce Tasker, Justin Olsen, Maxim Adrianov, then Nico Walter, Matthias Luthi, who had a good first run, Benny Meyer, Justin Cripps, Bert Hefty, top 10. Well, he won't have much to complain about visibility-wise here. Let's see if he can push himself up the order. The 2 Koreans looked strong early on, but they got shuffled down to the bottom of the top 10 by Ugo Salem, Stephen Holcomb, Alexander Kazyanov, only 6th. And the big story, a tie for 3rd. A close battle for all the medals. 0.2 of a second covered the top 10, except for one man. 3600s ahead is our race leader, the last winner on this track, Francesco Friedrich.
There's Simone Bertazzo.
Bertazzo gets the race underway after a 30-minute snow delay.
Well, check out his start time. 5:40 in the first run, 5:44. That's normal for him. You know, he's back surgery in the off-season, and Simone, talk about it, the World Championships. In 2007, he won a bronze medal. He won at least 3 gold medals, 2 2s and a 4 on the Cesana track, the Olympic track used in Torino. But he's in the twilight of his career, doesn't get the start times. But as we saw last week in Altenburg, he can still drive a sled.
Well, I think this track is in as good as, if not better, condition in the first heat. Still some snow on a couple of the crossovers. This is looking like a decent run.
I bet you it's a little bit colder than it was.
Yeah, well, my toes are a lot colder than they were. I'm not quite sure how cold it is outside, but I bet the crowd are feeling every degree of it and a lot more.
56.99 in the first heat. See what he matches
Can't be
here.
far away from that. 57.07,
800s
800s, yeah.
And he was 400 slower at the start, so that means the track still got time in it, similar to the first run.
Yep. So there is a chance for those who feel that maybe the weather adversely affected them, that they could move up the order.
But when the sleds don't all get all the way to the top there, that's not because of the brakeman.
Long striding steps from Simone Bertazzo.
And this is around curve 1. This is a real challenge here. He gets around as clean as anybody, but he's also probably the most experienced driver in the field. I don't know if anybody's got more trips down the track as a driver than he does.
Simone Bertazzo has the lead, at least for the moment. You can see just from her breath in the air, it is properly cold outside now. Next up, Cody Basque from Whitehall, New York. Adrian Adams on the back with Cody. First time this combination have slid together, John, you think?
This season.
Yeah.
Adrian from Chapel Hill.
Mix and match, trying to get the best out of every man in the team.
Cody of Whitehall, New York, not far from Lake Placid. Decent start, 12th best start in the first run, 5:29, 5:34, so they're 500 slower. Adrian Adams' favorite athlete, Herschel Walker, the former Olympic bobsledder, finishing 7th with Brian Schuyler at the Olympics Games in Albertville in '92. And well, Cody Basque, he likes that guy from Cleveland named LeBron James. Little drift there.
Little drift, tiny tap.
3,200's lead. That's relative to a start. He had a decent start in the first round, 12th best start. Bang, that's costly. 9, pivotal part of the track. At the nose.
3,300s ahead of Bertazzo, and he was only 1,400s up in the first heat. This is a good-looking run from Cody Basque. This is the one he wanted first time down.
30.9, that's 81.3 miles an hour, and the youngster from Whitehall, New York, 56.81, and that's 400ths better than his first heat time down the track, even though he's 4 heats, 500 slower at the start. So, Cody, that was a better second run.
Improve every day, that's the secret to this sport. Well, it wasn't a lifetime of difference, but it was better.
Up here, this is a mistake, curve 4. That little bit of drift doesn't sound like much, but when the speeds are slow, then he's late there in the exit of Kreisel, and that, look at him lean though. You see that body lean? That was the, that's the way to do it. You don't want to steer, let this, body lean, get the sled off the curve.
Well, like they say in skeleton, the sled follows the eyes. Here, it follows the body as well. Bruce Tasker and Toby Alubi next up for Great Britain. Let's hear some cheering from Samoritz. Pete Gunn with the team.
These guys had the same start as Basque and Adams.
Yeah.
I gotta believe they're gonna be better than that. These are 2 powerful, fast men in this sled. Big.
Tasker converted to driving 2 years ago,
that's what we
5.17.
expect.
There you go.
He didn't have that in the first run, and I was a little, wow. These
wind-affected starts. Yeah. There's going to be a couple that are going to be a lot different.
Yeah, there's a couple people that had suspect start times, and this is one of them right here. Let's see if we can turn this into a real positive run at the bottom. Bruce could move up 4 or 5 sleds with a good run here.
Well, he was tied with Justin Olsen for 17th, 200s behind Adrianov and Walter, who are tied. So 4 sleds covered by 200ths of a second.
Crashed out last week in Altenburg. This guy, I keep saying he could be a threat at the Olympics next year if he learns how to drive here in the next 12 months. Because his athleticism in the front seat speaks for itself. You get a guy this good. And they say, I've been told, he tests out as the best brakeman of the British team.
Yep, still.
56.41. Yeah, he just went 4,100ths quicker in his first run.
Yeah.
That's what we expected out of Bruce Tasker. That would have put him up there in the, 56.41.
That would have left him in 7th place.
7th place.
7th place, where Holcomb is.
So if there's anybody that had a bad draw with the weather, it was Bruce Tasker in the first run. Bruce, way to pull off a good second run. Encouraging as you go to St. Moritz.
Well, get your jackets in a hurry, boys. You might be needing them.
Look at this skid.
Little skid.
And plus he's plowing snow down there. Surprised, there's a lot of snow in that straightaway between 7 and into the Kreisel.
Yeah, and a couple of the crossovers in the labyrinth are quite snowy, but really good run. Bruce Tasker of Great Britain was tied with Justin Olsen of the USA. Justin with Evan Weinstock behind him.
Yeah, these two also didn't have a very good start.
Yeah, 5:25. They've got more in the tank than that, but it is a lot stiller now.
And they were tied to the 100th with Tasker.
Now, can they take a 10th out of their start as well? They need to.
Hello.
5:19, that's better.
Yeah, but he tapped out of 1.
Again, like Bruce Tasker, a big, fast brakeman who turned to driving 2 seasons ago.
Evan Weinstock is a U.S. track and field athlete who competed internationally in the decathlon. He's a 7,557-point score. Big mistake there by Olsen. I think the only decathlete better than Weinstock in the field is Thorsten Margus, and he's on the brakes of the leading sled. There's about 8 or 9 decathletes, at least in the field, in the competition. 1400's back. Boy, I don't know.
They were in a dead heat at the end of the first heat. The BMW sled might have a little more top-end speed.
14, bringing it back.
Here
Third best, that doesn't have the speed.
Not quite enough track left to make advantage. 1600's back.
56-57, but give him credit, 2500's better.
Toby Alubi, where
3500's
did you
better.
learn to dance?
2500's better.
Yeah. Better run and better start as well. Yeah. Not so wind affected, but just not quite enough to hold on to Bruce Tasker and Toby Alubi.
They got locked into some problem. This wasn't good, though. You know, watch the left side of your screen. That's that's a 10th.
Second time on this track only for him, I think. So,
well, of course, he was sliding with Holcomb in those night train early years. And what, San Antonio, Texas, boy.
The snow is tough, huh?
It is tough. Couple of ties in our World Cup field here in Winterberg, Germany in the 2-man competition. Tie for 17th has just been broken in favour of Bruce Tasker from Great Britain. Tie for 15th. This is Max Adrianov tied with Nico Walter. Can he stay in front of the British sled that was only 200 slower in the first of our 2 heats?
Yeah, 37 in the first run, 33 in the, they had the 21st best start time. And they're not going to be better than, they might be the worst start in the field, the 20. No, but Bertazzo was the worst. So they'll be the 19th best start when the race is all said and done. But, like his teammates, the Russians are fast on the bottom part of all bobsled tracks. They're good drivers, they have good material. His suspect start time here gives him no chance for a top 10 finish.
Third on the sprint times at the moment, so he's going to drop a couple of spots behind Bruce Tasker.
He'll tap there before 9.
We had 4 sleds covered by
10. Look at this.
of a second.
Here he comes, the best speed in the bottom. It's going to be single digits. Going to be close.
Close to the line. 300s behind.
So Bruce Tasker's moving up. Zubkov knows that, hey, start time there. Nothing wrong with that. He got beat by 1600s at the start there by Tasker.
Tasker found 500s of him over him on the second heat.
Tasker and Alubi are the start time in the first run. They would have been up near the top 10, I bet.
Yeah.
Okay, get in. It's very easy. Jump over the 25 miles an hour. You're running alongside with those spikes on your, on your feet across the ice, and you get in, get down. Look at the brakeman. Huge man. Gets in there aerodynamically perfect. 9. He taps on the right side here. Look, that throws him down in the middle. 9 to 10, and that wasn't a perfect run on the bottom part of the track. He lost out by 3. That little mistake in 9 was costly.
Germany's Nico Walter tied for 15th spot.
With the legendary
minimum of 10 spots below where you'd expect to find him on this track.
Kevin Kuska, the legend in the back.
Yeah.
He's been sliding since the first time I covered him in December of '98. Him and Andre Lange, they went on to win the gold medal. I think it was him in the 98-99 season. He's been around that long, and he's still so proficient.
2600s back on Bruce Tasker from Great Britain. 5:32 the start compared to Tasker's 5:17.
Oh, he's buried with that start time. Third best starting. He's going to find some time at the bottom. I don't think he's going to find a quarter second. Down to 15, well, maybe I spoke too soon.
Looks like he had a good run through the Kreisel.
Speed, though. He's going to need the best speed to overtake. Down to 7. And he's got the top speed, so he could be the leader by 100th. Right to the 100th.
Could be another tie.
There it is.
100th behind.
I was right. It was 100th blue, though. Look at Rennie's speeds on the left. Poor Nico Walter. He's driving. The Germans are driving 3 different types of sled. They're testing 3 sleds. He's got the wrong luck of the draw here because he doesn't have the better lines. He's better than this.
4 sleds covered by 200ths of a second. Bruce Tasker pings to the top of that ladder.
Speed is great, but he's 2400ths behind the top of the short track. Look at the speed in the bottom. 1.5 kilometers in that speed zone from the top of the labyrinths down through to the finish. The speed trap goes for about 150 meters, and Walter had a 100th or 10th kilometer better, but that start killed him.
Bruce Tasker leads from Nico Walter. 5 of our 20 sleds down in Winterberg. Maciej Luti and Krzysztof Tarkowski of Poland. And they want us to remember their former teammate Agnieszka Boroszka, who had a training injury a couple of years ago. That 26-year-old, always with the team.
Well, they pass the respects on to her, and she'll be watching. And these guys did pretty good in the first run.
Yeah, they did. 5:37 in the first heat, 5:30 in the second. They had a really good drive into 14th place, and I haven't checked back, but if Luti can hang on to that spot, you've got to think that will be his career best result in a two-man.
He started number 2. We thought he had the big advantage, and that's why he was in 14th place. But, you know, Luti, 4th year we've seen him out here in Poland. Now coached by Janins Minnings. We'll probably see him in the coach's box. The former Latvian World Cup driver and winner. A number of times he's got at least 3 World Cup victories, and he took over the Polish team. And he knows a little bit of the tricks of the trade, and it's showing it right here. 500's down into the finish, though. This is going to be close. Bruce Tasker might get another one. He does.
He does by 200ths of a second.
There's Janins Minnings. He doesn't like that, but still great. This is a great opening event for Luti.
Really, absolutely.
Polish look organized, athletic.
He's had a 15th in the World Cup in Koenigsegg, December 2015. That, I think, is his best ever World Cup result, and he will be no worse than 15th here.
At European Championships, going to get a couple North Americans.
Well, you're going to take Koreans out, Canadians out, Americans out.
There's 4 out.
Yeah.
So it's going to be 11th in the Europeans at least.
Could end up with a top 10 in the Europeans. Bruce Tasker is still our race leader. As we get to Benny Meyer of Austria. Really good run in the European Championships in St. Moritz last year.
24 the first run. Should be better. There's the speed. Check out the speed ranking. 21 there. 3rd best.
Yeah.
3rd best start. 3rd best velocity. That's consistent. That's the power step into the sled. The brake, but getting in the sled, creating an extra velocity. There's no gas pedal in these things. The only thing you got is a human-powered element. That's the brake put at the start.
Advantage over Tasker from the first heat, 2100ths of a second. That's down to 1400 slid there.
Skid, another skid. So that 19 might get down to green numbers, but Meyer had a breakout season last year, winning the European Championship silver medal in St. Moritz in the 4-man. And he did pretty good last week in the 2-man, top 5.
As a result, look at the sponsorship that's been attracted to the sled.
Now he's accelerating away, 3rd best speed. This is a good run for Benny Meyer. Wow,
Again,
58.26. Okay, he just went 3500ths better.
Yeah. Again, you've got to think that might well have been a wind-affected run.
Yeah, now it's pretty obvious some of these teams at the start got affected, but Bruce Tasker, told me those guys are second. That's still great for them. They still have the best start of the competition in the second run.
Second, third, fourth, and fifth are 100th apart from each other.
Look at that.
And that's how tight it was in the first heat, too.
Skid here, though. Boy, he had a great run going.
But he turns it in nicely onto the corner and rescues that.
But still tapped before Kreisel. A no-no. On the bottom part of the track, Benny Meyer found some time, some speed. And this another one of the young guns.
Yeah, snowing again, and that might help him move up a couple of spots. Graham Richardson not liking the look of that from the back, and Lyndon
these
Rush
guys
at the
should go as
front.
quickly as they can.
Yeah, they will. The moment the light changes, they need to be on their way. Lyndon Rush leaves the sled, and now it's up to Justin Cripps and Jesse Lumsden.
5:20 in the first run from these two big Canadians.
Cripps, another former brakeman turned driver with great success.
They're in so quick in that sled. 5:31. Wow, wait a minute, something wrong there. Wind, something. They went from 5:20 to 5:31.
Wind.
I'm sure the coaches up there shaking their heads.
Yeah.
Something happened there. Now they're relegated to 2,500. It's probably going to be 3,500 at the next clock. He's just going to run out of track at the bottom.
Yeah.
Good lines there.
He's going to drop 5 spots at the moment.
38, so he's basically stopped the bleeding now. But he's not going to be able to get back. Now the question is, I mean, he could fall 5-6 places here if he doesn't watch it. Look at the snow come now.
Yeah.
Oh, 400. You know, I'm sure the coaches are shaking their heads up there. He got blown away here in the weather. You can see the snow coming in.
7 spots back. Oh, really unfortunate timing for Justin Cripps.
Wow, 8th best time of the heat, 56.85, 1700s. Look at the coaches, just deer in headlights look. It's like, come on.
Yeah.
How unlucky could we get? Look, you know, the question is now, how much more snow is going to come in quick?
Well, if it suddenly returns the way it was when we were due to start, then they will call this heat and count it back to where you were in the first run, which will be bad news for Bruce Teske. Good news for Justin Cripps. Cripps not happy with that.
How can you be?
No.
There's no way that guy had the 8th best time. He should be up. Should have been the leader. 5:20 start. He had a 5:30. What do you have in this run? 5:30 what?
5:31.
1100's better. Now watch Hefty.
Well, Hefty started 5:23 in the first heat. Let's see what happens with his new brakeman.
He should be 5:25 at the worst. If he's getting to the 5:30s here.
Can't see the wind blowing up into the face of the athletes.
25, so then he's online. So the other question is, did Cripps and Lumsden just have a slip? But didn't see it.
I think they just ran into a snow flurry, and the wind is, you know, they're upright running. It's going to slow you down.
He's already dead heat, though. With Meyer. Meyer flew in the bottom. Hefty just made a mistake. Hefty lost 7 kilos.
Hefty only had 800s over Benny Meyer. He's now 600s behind on the total time.
Lost 15, 18 pounds over the summer. A lot more fit, but he doesn't have to. He used to be the best starter in the competition, and now he's not. He's back into the 7th, 8th best start, which, you can see how late he was there. He's a quarter second back, so he's going to fall at least 1 spot.
Even drop 2 spots. Yeah, the line,
7th best time.
Wow. Just 100th ahead of Bruce Teske. Benny Meyer lives on in the leader's box. Well, you know, when the weather comes in, things get topsy-turvy. That got a little squirrely there for a few minutes.
Well, it looks like it stopped. Look at this.
Yeah.
Justin Cripps, just caught a
double jeopardy now.
2-minute window.
Yeah. Stop. He ran into the blizzard, and everybody else is nice and clear.
Look how late he is there. Of course, not steering. And look at the speed on the bottom. Look at the difference in the speed trap. Almost 1.5 kilometers that Meyer had. Meyer had great speeds last week, and Hefty, it's the second week we've seen him be at. He's 15 pounds trimmer, but he's not the start monster we used to see the last 10 years.
Benny Meyer, Baird Hefty, Bruce Teske, the top 3, 10 of our 20 sleds down here in Winterberg. Well, we will go straight to the next sled because there is no 2-minute timeout for commercial. And that brings us then into the top 10 with the first of our 2 Korean sleds.
World Cup leader.
Yeah, Yoon Jung-won. Well, 3rd fastest start. That's about the best thing you can say about his first run, other than he was only 10th and not 14th or 15th. And it was definitely not what we expected to see from him. 5:22 from 5:18 in the first heat, so not a massive wind effect there. That's a fairly average start.
surprised, though, that he was back at 9th or 10th place on a short track like this with what he's accomplished so far in the season. You aren't the World Cup leader unless you're consistent.
He's going to be behind Benny Meyer at the next split. He's gone down from 1200s, 700s, 200s in front. He hasn't got the pace of the Austrian.
Now the question is, how many spots is he going to fall? It's only two. Only two.
200s.
And this is where the Korean sled starts to motor. Bottom part of the track. If he gets that attainable best speed in the bottom, he could take the deficit, turn it into green numbers. It's 5th best speed. He will not catch Meyer.
No, Benny Meyer, 2nd fastest at the bottom of the track, and 400s in it. Benny Meyer stays in the leader's box with his brakeman Marcus Sammer, who has given up driving until after Pyeongchang. And then possibly in perpetuity. I'm not entirely convinced that Sammer thinks he's really cut out to be a driver. Maybe we'll see after Pyeongchang.
Well, I think we're going to see a change in World Cup leader. Kazanov and Rico Peter are yet to come, but it depends. They got to finish 3 or 4 spots ahead of Juan here.
They will, unless there's a mistake.
Look at the brakeman. You see that little slip there? You know, he had a
reset almost.
Reset there almost. I think the brakeman's a small guy. Wow.
Yeah, in the same way that you and I are quietly spoken.
Yeah, look at the size of these
Ivo
guys.
Danilevich there, 2007 European champion in 2-man.
Cortina, one of the greatest upsets I've ever seen. He beat Andre Lange.
And one of the greatest tracks. Tong-Young Kim, 9th. And there's a little upset, 500s ahead of his teammate.
And he gets to get beat at the start by 700s in the first run. Let's see what he can do. 22 be 30.
Sorry, I said
40.
I said 500s, 100th in front of his teammate. 540. That's a shocker.
Shocker. How could you do 525 and a 540? And you don't. That's almost like Jesse Lumsden and Justin Cripps had the same type of
I'm looking
issue.
on the edge of the shot to see if I can see snow being blown around, particularly, but all the shades are down and it's hard to tell. But that has all the hallmarks of a wind-affected start as well, unless we missed a slip.
Yeah, no, I don't know if he slipped. I couldn't tell. He's sentenced to losing.
Well, he's now
5 or 6
in
places. Yeah,
he's down 8 places already. And this could barely get any worse.
Well, the Koreans had a little weather issue with their World Cup leader, men's skeleton. And it could be the same problem here for the Koreans in this bobsled race.
Could drop right to the tail of the field, loses 8 spots. Wow. And there are still 8 sleds to come. From 9th in the first heat, he'll be, likely as not, 16th. And he is going to look for somewhere to throw his head in his hands quietly in a moment.
Perplexing.
Yeah.
Oh, where'd the start go bad? Let's check it out. Driver's in perfectly. Brakeman, perfect technique.
Maybe they just didn't get the hit
How about
they
here?
needed.
How about here? No, the start time's already in, but that's not a good exit of curve 1, and you could see the speed. Meyer, almost a full kilometer. Something happened there. Maybe coming out of the blocks, but look at the sportsman there.
Yep.
Well, he's not very happy, though.
No, and understandably so. 8 to go, including Ugas Zalims of Latvia. Janis Janssens, his brakeman. 11th fastest start for these guys, but a really nice drive down the track to put Zalims in 8th position. And from here on, really,
it's close.
In with a shot of the medals.
Yeah. 5 sleds separated by a couple hundreds here. 10 hundreds, like 5 sleds. Hey, Zalims, 26 in the first run, 11th best start. Johnson's is a pretty big boy. 22, so there's 26, he improved 400s to 22.
Little slide up 0 rather than a steer around it.
1000 lead. That better get out to stay at 10 or 9.
He might need a couple of tenths when he gets to the Kreisel. BTC IBSF may not be the fastest thing in the bottom corners.
But he didn't tap before Kreisel, but he's down to 7. So perfect lines down here give him a chance. That's pretty good. 9, yeah, now he's accelerating away. The no tap before Kreisel, the exit of Kreisel, this is why he's starting to accelerate. These are great lines. Look at, you could see any variance here at all. 11, 4th best speed, but you know, 4th best start time, 2nd best down time of the heat. He's the leader. Finally, the Austrians have retired for the evening out of the leader's box.
Yep.
And his 1700's better in the second run. No snow coming down. Justin Cripps, you talk about luck of the draw. He
got really sucker punched by
Jesse,
the
you guys, yeah, you should. Oh.
Ugo Zalims takes the lead, second fastest run of the heat. If it was on one heat only, Benny Meyer would still be the leader.
He needed a good run on the bottom part of the track from the exit of Kreisel down. Entrance of Kreisel, exit of Kreisel, down through the bottom. Might have been the best run we've seen so far. Austrians congratulating him.
USA Steve Holcomb, 7th place after the first of our 2 heats, a 10th out of 5. 2/10 out of the medals.
Duffy, football player. Holcomb, former Alpine ski racer. People don't realize that he was on the junior development team in Alpine ski racing out of Park City before he told his father he wanted to go check out the bobsleigh track in about 97, 98. It's a good choice for the American program.
Downhill mountain biker as well, wasn't he?
He's better. 12th best start. He's a quarter second down. Boy, this is going to be tough for him to overcome. He did have the best speed on the bottom part of the track in the first run.
He came from a quarter second to about 800s back from the then leader, but
he's not going to make it this time. He might get it down in the teens. Now the question is, he could fall 3 places. Top speed, 31, doesn't matter. He's buried. There's the best speed in the bottom. He might pick up a little bit, but he's going to be out of the money
4
for
places
sure.
down.
56, 59, 1400 slower.
And that's 3/10 of a second slower than Ugo Zalims, who's just preceded him down the track.
So Juan is still creeping up here. He could still, if he stays within 4 places of Kastinov coming up quickly, he will still be the World Cup leader. And Rico Peter comes after that. So Holke, how's this look into the Kreisel? Yeah, that's not how to do it. Tap into the middle, got to steer high. And, you know, you don't want to steer unless you have to. He had to steer there because he got in the middle of the curve on the entrance. He didn't like it.
Ugo Zalims receives his congratulations. He is still our World Cup leader. Our race leader here in the World Cup round 4. Alexander Kazyanov of Russia lies second in the World Cup rankings. Silver medal last time out in Altenburg in the 2-man, his best result of the season. He's got a great chance of breaking into the medals again here.
16th best start in the first run, 32. Good technique. 32 again. And around the zero curve, pretty nicely. The dark visor he's wearing. 15th best start Altenburg last week, and he impressively drove himself into a silver medal. That's hard to do when you have a deficient start time, but he's got afterburners on the bottom part of the track. Any place he's on, the Russians are fast on the speed parts of the track. Here he is, 600s down, still bleeding a little bit. Watch the exit.
Close enough, he had.
Skid there a little bit.
900s.
500s, here he comes. Ooh, late there.
Oh, disaster for Kazyanov.
Now he's not going to be able to do anything now. 1200s. Now the question is, how many places is he going to fall? He could fall behind Meyer. What a mistake.
He's going to be, fourth place. Ugo Zalims on the left, on the right-hand side.
Juan lives another sled for the World Cup leader.
Still lies in 3rd place. Juan and Meyer are climbing the order. Holcomb has tumbled, Hefty has tumbled, Kazyanov has tumbled.
That was self-induced there. The best driver in the field right here, I would say, just made his first mistake of the year on the speed part of the track. No, this here is a little bit of a drift there, top of the track, but you know, here, this is in the 9. Watch this, he gets in and tries to get out, comes off too early.
Benny Meyer, incidentally, second at the moment with 5 to go, so he'll be no worse than 5th from 13th in the first heat.
That's his worst run of the year right there.
Kazyanov hates that. Just tag that back bail. Ugo Zalims, the leader, 5 to go. Rico Peter for Switzerland with Thomas Amrein behind him. Fifth fastest start, 5.20. What have they got this time?
5.21, great. Little drift out of zero curve that wasn't great. Second best velocity, that's great, because they had the third best start time, so they improved in their velocity. Now, Rico Peters, he's got 1300s in the bank, and this is for the World Cup lead. He finishes here as ahead of Zalmans, Meyer, and Juan. I don't think it's going to be enough. He's got to jump ahead of at least a couple more people.
He needs to be up in the medals. Don't forget, the European Championships are all Europeans now. We've left Stephen Holcomb, the last non-European, behind us, so this is World Cup and
7.
Europeans.
This is getting tight.
Yes, it is. Zalmans was fast at the bottom. What's the Swiss sled got?
Down to 2. Doesn't have the best speed. 8th best speed. I don't think he's going to do it.
Not even close to enough speed.
Ducks his head.
Ties! Oh, it was close to enough speed.
Winterberg. This is what we do here. We have a lot of ties on this track, like in Innsbruck.
Yeah, but usually it's Rico Peter and Yun Jung Won who are tied.
Yeah,
they're the two that are the Siamese twins.
So this means now that these guys got to jump ahead of one more sled, I think, for Peter to take the World Cup lead.
Yeah.
Well, where did it go wrong for him? This is in the, there it is right there.
Yep.
We didn't see that because we were looking at numbers. Entrance to Kreisel. Then here in the bottom part, watch him duck his head. He needs 100th of a second.
Yeah, he's under the
falling,
cowl halfway round.
Look at this. You think that's worth 100? Yeah. Yes. Nice job.
Now, if he ducked halfway round the corner, he would have found another 100. He might have been the leader, but he is the joint leader. And we have 4 to go. We have a tie for the lead. We also have a tie in our top 3. We have 2 men in 3rd place, or 2 sleds. Oskars Kiebermanis and Mattis Miknes tying with Alexis Stonleff and Kirill Anton. This is for the European Championship medals.
Kiebermanis won his first ever World Cup medal last weekend in Altenburg, and this young former decathlete, 5:14. That's the best start in the second run. He's famous for having great starts. Really hasn't had good drives the last couple years. We expected more out of him last year, and then this year he came out and won his first ever World Cup medal last week at Altenburg. And he's been betting a long time that this guy is going to come. Once he gets on the podium, there's going to be a lot more of them, and we saw that last week.
3100s ahead of Rico Peter and Ugis Salims, his teammate.
I don't think he's worried about the guys at the bottom.
He was only 600s ahead of Rico Peter in the first heat. This is a big run from him.
This is for a medal.
World Cup medal and European Championship medal. Latvia went 1-2 in the men's skeleton earlier today. He takes the lead by 3
56-15, 1400's better.
That's a bid for silver at least.
Second best speed into the finish. This his teammate Mel Bardis isn't here. He's up for St. Moritz in the other Europa Cup race because he'll be there for 2 weeks. Watch out for him next week. So Kiebermanis can do no worse than 4th. I think it's going to be a medal.
I don't see all the 3 other sleds beating that run. That was a really solid run from Kiebermanis.
And down here on the bottom part of the track, Peter could not match Kiebermanis' speed on the bottom. And that's surprising because usually in that speed zone, you would expect Rico Peter to have the best speed. That might be saying something for Kiebermanis' driving.
Kiebermanis with a good run. 3 to go. Can Alexis Stonleff put himself in amongst the World Cup medals? Can he take a European Championship medal like his teammate Nadezhda Sergeva, who's cheering him on at the top of the track?
5:31. Boy, does he have a
same as their first heat.
That's
still got to dig himself out of this hole now.
I don't think he's ever won a medal in the World Cup. He's a great driver, great speeds the first couple weeks, but he's going to have a superhuman effort here to get to the bottom part of the track. In the lead, 2200s down. Nobody flew better on the bottom part of the track than this Russian sled in the first heat. So there's still potential here if he gets it down in the teens here. Well, that's high teens. Well, the only way he's going to be the leader is with the best speed in the bottom. He did it the first run. Let's see if he can do it. 132 kilometers. There. There's the best speed. I don't know if he's got enough track left.
tenth of a second away.
So there's a medal for Keeper Matters 2
Yes.
weeks in a row. But still, that's a fourth place finish. No worse than fourth.
Yeah, I think that is probably his career high in a
Best
two-man.
He didn't lose that coming down the track. He had the best speed in the bottom like I predicted. Start time, 10th best start.
This season, 8th, 9th, and 7th. He'll be no worse than 4th.
Okay, let's take a look at the coach's reaction here in the start. Stolnev.
In the black hat, Alexander Zubkov. Oh, that was not a good hit.
Yeah, so that's the coach, push coach, he lifted his sled up, and that's...
Yeah, it wasn't a good hit. The brakeman was going before the driver. That's why the back of the sled came up. You don't want to go up, you want to go forward.
Okay.
For the win, Johannes Lochner, first-time four-man winner a week ago in Altenburg with Joshua Bloom behind him. Can he somehow find something to show to Francesco Frugic, our first-round leader?
19 in the first run, 19 in the second run. Only the third best velocity. I'm surprised at that.
Only the fourth fastest start as well, a 5:19 in the first heat. Let's see what he can produce.
Whoa, he's only 600s ahead. That's surprising. That start, he should have been better than that.
He was only 700s up on Keeper Manis from the first heat. Keeper Manis outstarted him by 500.
Oh, now it's 11. Now he's away. That tap's going to cost him, but 6 to 11 means he's starting to accelerate away. And this young German silver medalist at the 2015 World Championship, the pair, they won the Junior World Championships. They won a silver medal in the World Championships. Rising star in the German program.
And he was tied with a Latvian. That
time,
time,
6th best time. This is going to be close.
Is it going to be a tie again with a Latvian? Oh, by 600ths of a second. History does not repeat itself. Keeper Manis will take at least bronze. Lochner at least silver.
So what's Lochner, 24? Keeper Manis, 22. We got some young guns coming into the sport as we approach the Pyeongchang Olympics here in 13 months. This is a name to recognize right here. Lochner, his father, or his uncle won the World Championships in '91. Two-man driver, and he went on to win a silver medal next year in Albertville, and it's a pretty good pedigree. His father used to ride with his uncle, Rudy. This was definitely costly into the Kreisel turn. Johannes Lochner, he was, this morning it was pretty funny watching them guys walk around in those outfits.
26 years old, and he has got a good 10, 12 years in front of him minimum. Same with this guy, Francesco Friedrich. Junior world champion, double world champion in two-man, and the winner on this track the last 2 years, the winner of the only 2 World Cup races he started this season.
Thurston Marcus on the back, the top point scorer of decathlon, I think 7,800 and change points. And, these two guys, what's going to stop them? The only thing going to stop them is themselves. Hamstrings, groins. Can they keep themselves healthy throughout the season? And last week, Friedrich didn't win with Marcus on the back.
No.
Martin Grobkop.
Martin Grobkop was in, and then Marcus was back on the four-man sled.
He's got a great crew.
Yeah, when you've got that depth that you can alternate people around to keep them healthy.
6/10. This is an easy track. It's supposed to be all close. Everybody's tying to 100 and 500 and 1000.
It's really close. Just Friedrich didn't get the memo. He's nearly 7/10 away.
What planet is he from? I mean, this is ridiculous. 55.81. What's the rest of the field going to do with him?
Double,
he's 3 in a row.
Double, triple. 3 wins from 3 starts this season. 3 wins here in Winterberg.
I think he still likes winning, even though he's done it so much.
I don't think winning ever gets old. Look at the musculature on this man. You don't think he's a big athlete compared to some of the beasts that are around, but you see him in ordinary clothes, he is huge, and Margus is huge as well. They're a similar size. They make each other look kind of normal. They're not. They are big, powerful guys. Francesco Frugic and Torsten Margus win their 3rd race of the season, their 3rd race in a row here in Winterberg. 2 years ago, the world champion in two-man, this time the European champion in two-man. And it's a German 1-2.
You would expect this. I mean, they got the best starts. They have the great equipment. They're on their home tracks. And this guy here is putting himself in the record books. I keep saying it. At his age, he's way ahead of Eugenio Monti's two-man world championship record. And if he keeps up with this pace, by the time we get to the Beijing Olympics, this could be the greatest two-man bobsledder ever if he keeps up with this pace.
Not as good as his first run. First heat, 36 hundredths ahead. Should have been 72, only 71 hundredths in front.
And look at the rest, how close everything else is.
And that's insane. You know, that is insane. That, like Martins Ducours, who was 2 hundredths in front in the first heat, found 0.6 of a second more in the second heat. Friedrich found it in both. 37 hundredths to win by 0.7 on this track. That's what a World Cup, World Championship winning driver would do in a Europa Cup race, not in a World Cup race. That's an insane performance from Francesco Friedrich and Torsten Margis. The deserved European Championship gold medal goes to them. And that will be their first together, because he won it in 2015 with Martin Grotkop, the European Championship at La Plagne in France. Bert Hefty has won on either side of that. In fact, Bert's won 3 of the last 4 European Championship two-man races. But this time he was not even in the reckoning, 11th place. The reigning European champion. Mind you, last year it was with Alex Baumann, who's not fit yet, and it was in St. Moritz. Here it's in Winterberg, so a slightly different way to slice that. But
let me just say this, that the only person got affected in the second run by the weather was Justin Cripps and Jesse Lumsden.
The weather took them out around the back and shot them.
Yeah.
That way was that brutal. Cody Bascu didn't get a great rub, but Justin Cripps must feel like somebody tied his shoelaces together. Unbelievable how bad. There was one flurry for about 3 minutes and he got it all. Ridiculous misfortune for Justin Cripps, and he'll be cursing Winterberg and its weather for a long time to come. Well, Francesco Friedrich, Johannes Lochner, 1-2 for Germany, like we had 1-2 for Latvia in the skeleton, Martins and Thomas Ducours. And Oskars Kiebermanis, his second bronze medal on the bounce. He started 2 races in the World Cup this season, 2 bronze medals. That ain't so shabby, and a European Championship bronze for Latvia as well.
He had the best start in the second run, too.
Yeah.
Watch out for that guy. He continues to improve every race out.
Well done to the jury for holding off the delay, allowed us to get a race in. Well done to the track workers for clearing the track to get a good race in. And well done to everybody for bearing with them. Oskars Kiebermanis third. Alexei Stolnev just out the top 3 in 4th place. Rico Peter 5th.
His best ever for Stolnev.
Yeah, and Ugo Salims tied with Rico Peter for 5th place. The European Championship won by Francesco Friedrich and Torsten Margis. Johannes Lochner, the silver medalist, with Joshua Bloom, and Oskars Kiebermanis in the bronze medal position with Mattis Miknis. A few athletes coming steaming up the order. Benny Meyer, 13th in the first heat, ended up 7th overall. And in the Europeans, the top non-European was in 10th place. That was Stephen Holcomb. And so Bruce Tasker moves up. Oh, in fact, Yun Jung Won in 8th. He wasn't in the Europeans, so Bruce Tasker moves up into the top 10 as well once those non-Europeans are taken out. But what a drive, what a pair of drives, what a day from Francesco Friedrich and Torsten Margis. It almost beggars belief that they can be so utterly in a different league from anyone else in the field, including their teammates.
The only thing that's going to stop these guys is themselves. I mean, they got it all. They got the equipment, they got the athleticism, the start times, they got the instinct. Watch out, world.
Here is our World Cup. Yun Jung Won clings to the lead from Rico Peter and Alexander Kazhinov. Friedrich, despite missing a race, fires himself up into 4th place. Alexei Stolnev and Stephen Holcomb round out the top half dozen. Well, interesting times indeed for the top of the World Cup leaderboard. Friedrich was 8th coming in here, up to 4th now on points with 3 straight wins. Goodness me. Well, what an evening here in Winterberg. I don't know about you, but wherever you are, my stomach's rumbling. 8:15 here. And there are our gurning winners. top 3, also the top 3 in the European Championships. So flowers being presented by Heike Grosswang, the Executive Secretary of the IBSF. Big smile in the cap from Oskars Melbardis, Mattis Miknis, his tall brakeman. On the left, in the grey hat, is Johannes Lochner, the silver medalist, with Joshua Bloom, second left. Winners last weekend in the four-man for the first time in their careers, and are European champions and, well, triple winners here in Winterberg in last 3 seasons, triple winners this season. In the blue hat, Francesco Friedrich; in the grey, Torsten Margis. There is your European Championship podium. Your World Cup podium is no different. And that is it from a rain-hit that's force of habit, a snow-hit Winterberg. Wherever you have been, thank you for being with us. We have more action tomorrow. Lunchtime, it's the women's skeleton evening race for the four-man bobsleigh. From John Morgan, me, Martin Haven, and the rest of the crew, thanks for being with us. We'll see you tomorrow for more racing from Winterberg in Germany.